The 2024 NFL Draft is just a couple months away, and we've already talked a plethora about some of these players. However, today we're going to talk about a guy that's not defense, okay? He's offense. We're going to head back to the offense because we've talked about, the cornerbacks, Nate Wiggins from Clemson, Tyrion Arnold from Alabama, the kid from, Toledo, and then we talked about Byron Murphy, the D-tackle from Texas, yada, yada, yada. But offensively, the only thing we've really talked about is that quarterback position because we're still, again, we're going to bring it up basically this entire offseason until that Kirk Cousins situation gets handled. We have no clue what's going to happen or what the Vikings are going to do with Kirk Cousins. Are we going to re-sign him? And if we do, are we still going to draft a quarterback to learn under him? Or are we going to let him walk away, which means we're going to have to find a free agent quarterback or draft a quarterback and yada, yada. So we've looked at, We've looked a little bit at J.J. McCarthy. We talked about Jaden Daniels trading all the way up to number 2, which is kind of what we're going to do today at the same being the same thing, right? Talking about Drake Maye, who is an outside chance that he lands with the Minnesota Vikings. We talked about that, trading up to that second overall pick with the Washington Commanders, where Washington in return gets the 11th pick and yada, yada, gets basically a bunch of picks for that second overall pick. And today it's no different. But we're going to be talking about Drake Maye, who has an outside chance to be drafted by the Minnesota Vikings. So let's get right into it. Before we do, subscribe to the channel. All right. It's widely believed that the Chicago Bears and New England, respectively, picking first and third in that 2024 NFL Draft, will take quarterbacks with their first picks. Now, there's really no need for the Bears to pick a quarterback. I think Caleb Williams even said, I don't want to go to Chicago, allegedly. I don't know if that's exactly true. We never know what's true and what's not true and stuff like that. But Justin Fields has shown promise despite poor coaching and a horrendous offensive line. But the chance to select Caleb Williams is too good to pass up. The New England Patriots, on the contrary, desperately need a gunslinger after the failed Mac Jones experiment. Bailey Zappi could likely stay on as a backup, but he's also struggled greatly in starts as well. Now, New England is heavily linked to former UNC star quarterback Drake Maye at third overall. But there's a sleeper team emerging as a possibility to pick Drake Maye. How about the Minnesota Vikings? Like the Bears, it doesn't make a lot of sense for the Vikings to take Maye. They already have a 4-time Pro Bowler in Kirk Cousins, who ranks among the NFL's most consistent, productive, and reliable quarterbacks. But at the same time, he's a free agent and is asking for 2 years, $90 million fully guaranteed. Don't want to pay that. I will not pay that, okay? Or if I'm the Minnesota Vikings, I would not want to pay that. No, thank you. Now, more realistically, Drake Maye won't be around when Minnesota selects 11th overall. You could even say that for Caleb Williams. You might say that for Jaden Daniels. Otherwise, you're looking at J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix, who probably are going to slip into that second round. Would the Vikings trade up to that second overall pick and take Drake Maye? Well, it's very possible, but Ben Gosling of the Star Tribune told Paul Allen a very interesting little sentiment. So let's get right to that. Here's what Ben Gosling said. If they're going to take a quarterback, it's going to be someone we love or we're not doing it. Obviously. Okay, that's the entire draft. If you don't love somebody, you're not going to draft them. It's like looking at a girl and saying, I don't really like you, but sure, let's go on a date. That doesn't make any sense because you're not going to be interested. You're going to make her, blah, 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 okay? Back to the NFL, right? If you have to give a couple of first-round picks for future years, I don't think they'd bat an eye, okay? And, well, that was the case last year, trying to trade all the way up to that number 4 pick to get Anthony Richardson from the Indianapolis Colts. But they have certainly looked at this as we need to get the guy that we can plant our flag with for the next 10 years, like a Patrick Mahomes, right? Now, if it costs a lot to do that, so be it. I don't think they're going to limp in on this, so to speak, and be like, well, if it's quarterback 5 and we're kind of okay with him, let's take him anyway. That sentiment right there tells me the Vikings are all in. Not just on Drake Maye, but on these quarterbacks. It seems as if the focus on the offensive side of the ball is to figure out that quarterback position. And there's a decent amount of quarterbacks in this year's draft that the Vikings need to seriously take a look at and consider either trading up for to get or sitting at 11 and taking the best available option at that point in time. And Drake Maye could be one of those guys. He's the top 3 quarterback coming out of college into this NFL draft alongside Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels. My first pick would be Jaden Daniels over Drake Maye, but I can understand why people say Drake Maye is probably better just because he's a pocket passer and stuff like that. But I want to see some versatile movement. That's why I want, Jaden Daniels, who can escape the pocket, roll out, and utilize his feet and his speed to his advantage to find an open receiver, make things happen down the field. But Drake Maye could fall to the Vikings if we trade all the way up to 2. Again, nobody's sure what the Vikings are going to do heading into draft night at this point in time. I think we have an idea of what they're kind of looking at, and that's defensively. You're looking at the D tackle, an edge rusher, maybe an extra linebackers, definitely the secondary, and more specifically the cornerback position. But offensively, there's really 2 positions you're looking at other than offensive line. You're looking at a quarterback, and you're looking at a running back. Okay, we could realistically take Braden Allen at number 11 if we want, or wait to the second round to take him from Wisconsin. We can look at Frank Gore Jr., taking him in the 3rd round or wherever he's placed, or 4th round, who knows. But most importantly, the Vikings are focusing, or at least we hope they're focusing, on figuring out that quarterback position. It seems as if most of you guys who watch these videos and are a fan of the channel and a fan of the Minnesota Vikings are saying, look, gotta take one of those top 3 quarterbacks, Caleb Williams, Drake Maye, or Caleb Williams. Do whatever you can to make that happen, and we'll be happy. Because look, we've been stagnant for too long. We've been mediocre for too long. It's time to change the narrative, and it's time to chase a Super Bowl. And that's what's going to happen if we take one of these top 3 quarterbacks. Hopefully, you never know. They could be a bust, but if it's not the top 3 quarterbacks, like some of you have said, you don't want it. So I completely understand that whole sentiment. But the Vikings need to make a move. They need to be aggressive this draft, trading up. If you trade back, boy, I really don't know what to think. I don't know what this organization is doing. Maybe we call for Kwesi Adofo-Mensah's job, even though that's not realistic, I don't think. But got to be aggressive. Got to find a way to take a quarterback. If you have to set 11 to take one of those guys, so be it. But there's a chance the Vikings could trade up, and there's an outside chance that Drake Maye lands with the Minnesota Vikings. You let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Who do you want the Vikings to draft or trade up and draft for if they do so, or who you want them to take regardless? Also, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It'd be much, much appreciated. Have a great rest of the night, folks, and Skol Vikes.